Hi guys, Chris here for Drums Bonedo. Welcome to the channel. Today I have the latest entry-level drum set from Mapex as my guest, the Mapex Comet. Have fun! The Comet replaces the Mapex Tornado. In the Fusion version here it costs 499 euros. Not too bad for a complete kit from a brand manufacturer, right? Well, let's see. The kit has 7.2mm thick poplar shells which are covered on the outside with a blue wrap with a slight sparkle effect. Mapex advertises that the well-known sonic clear bearing edge, which means that the outer edge is rounded, is now also used on this entry-level set. For those of you who are not so familiar with bearing edges, with such a rounded shape you automatically have more head contact and slightly fewer overtones. And the drums are also a little easier to tune. The shell sizes are 20x16 bass drum, 10x7 and 12x8 toms, a 14x12 floor tom and a 14x5 snare drum. Let's take a look at the hardware. First thing I noticed were the two robust looking tom holders with ball joints. Otherwise the set is equipped with very inexpensive hardware. That reminds me also in terms of appearance of the Millennium Focus series, which is also produced in China. Some of the inlays of the somewhat fragile looking lugs tend to slip backwards and forwards when the heads are tensioned, but apart from that I had no problems tuning the set for the first time. I also noticed that the hoops of the toms and snare are also very thin and light. The same applies to the two very simple looking brass cymbals, the 16-inch crash and a pair of 14-inch hi-hats. So let's take a look at the pedals. The design of the pedal plates is based on the more expensive Mapex models, but they are still quite simple. On the bass drum pedal I noticed that the beta right out of the box has very little tension, so you have to tighten the spring quite a bit. The hi-hat machine has a fixed spring tension, but a cutout in the thread of the clutch. Very good. There's also a drum stool included with a medium firm seat, which is making some noise. But overall this model is not too bad for the first time. For this price point the heads are surprisingly good too. Mapex uses Remo UT bass drum heads which are quite robust. The toms and snare are fitted with single ply Remo UC heads which also sound good, especially for this price point, but are not as durable as the UT heads. So after a very short time of playing I could already see the first flaws on the tom heads. For the recordings I placed a bass drum pillow in the drum, but this is not included in the package. So let's hear how the set sounds with the factory heads and the included 7A sticks. I have to say that I'm quite impressed by the sounds of the bass drum and especially the toms. Even without damping I can get them in tune and the decay is well dosed but not too long. The clear weak point is the snare, which simply can't keep up with the other drums. I miss a bit of punch here, especially when playing rim clicks and rim shots. However, the snare wire response is fine and precise. For the second take I changed the cymbals with B20 models from my collection and I also mounted a ported resonant head on the bass drum. And the toms are now fitted with double ply Evans UB2s and the snare has an UB1 single ply head. But that's not all, I was having real problems tuning that snare up with a light factory hoop, so I replaced it with a 2.3mm triple flanged model from my stock. So here comes my conclusion. Mapex does a lot right with the Comet Fusion. For example, the selection of heads and the edges that make tuning easier. The 3 toms and the bass drum are sounding good considering the relatively low price. I also like the snare wire response. And of course you can get a lot more out of it with branded heads. But this generally applies to all inexpensive entry-level sets. Whether it's the recently tested Ludwig Accent Drive or the Tama Stage Star, both of which had richer sounding snares by the way. The somewhat weaker sounding snare and especially the cymbals are the clear weak point of the Mapex Comet. You would have to upgrade the cymbals in particular after a short time. Nevertheless, the set is good enough to take your very first steps on the instrument, but in my opinion, it's not a permanent solution if you want to get really ambitious and play your first live gigs. So that's it for today. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. You can leave me a comment, and if you're interested in the Mapex Comet Fusion, you can scan this code with your phone or check out the purchase links down below. I hope to see you next time. Until then, bye!